Two accusers testified against former USC gynecologist George Tyndall. Our reporter was there in the courtroom as they shared their stories.
Protesters gathered outside the U.S. Supreme Court as justices consider a historic abortion case.
Another march took place close to home. Find out why USC students are frustrated with the Los Angeles Police Department and DPS. Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
In a downtown LA courtroom, two former students described being sexually violated by former USC gynecologist George Tyndall. Good evening, I'm Luke Scorziell.
And I'm Anisha Banerjee. Reporter Ayanna Martinez is here now with the details. Ayanna?
At the George Tyndall preliminary hearing, two new witnesses took to the stand today. The two USC alumni testified that they were sexually abused by the former gynecologist while they were students. It is in addition to the two witnesses who testified yesterday. George Tyndall faces 35 counts of sexual assault and battery for crimes that he's accused of committing during his near 30-year tenure as a USC gynecologist. He started working at the university in 1989 and resigned in 2017 amid USC's internal investigation. Tyndall worked at the Eggman Student Health Center for nearly 3 decades. An LA Times investigation revealed complaints of sexual misconduct about the 74-year-old going back to the 1990s. Patients and nursing staff accused him of touching women inappropriately, taking photos, and making sexually suggestive comments. He was arrested in 2019 and is free on bond after pleading not guilty. It was a solemn courtroom as the former students testified for hours in open court in front of Tyndall himself. They both testified to Tyndall's abuse, with one becoming visibly upset during her testimony and needing a short recess. The hearing will continue tomorrow morning.
Ayanna, can you talk a bit more about the atmosphere in the courtroom and the accusers who testified?
Absolutely. The courtroom was calm yet slightly uneasy as the two women testified on the stand. You could see the judge and people sitting in the courtroom physically grimace at some of the details of the abuse that was revealed. Tyndall himself slightly lowering his head at times during the testimony. Each woman needed a moment to collect herself as she testified, but both said they felt the need to continue on. In fact, one woman said that she felt that she had an obligation to keep speaking.
California has identified the first case of coronavirus caused by the Omicron variant in the United States. On Twitter, Governor Gavin Newsom wrote, quote, "There's no reason to panic," end quote, but encouraged residents to stay vigilant. A USC health expert echoed Newsom's sentiment.
I don't think there should be reason to panic. The question will be, what is the spreadability of this particular viral strain? Is it more in its spread but less aggressive clinically? Or is it less aggressive in terms of spread and more aggressive clinically?
While there are still a lot of questions about the Omicron variant, experts are encouraging people to get their vaccination or booster, continue masking, and avoid overcrowding. Also today, the United States Supreme Court heard oral arguments in a case that could affect abortion access across the country. Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization challenges a Mississippi law banning abortion after 15 weeks. Conservative justices appeared ready to uphold the law.
If we think that the prior precedents are seriously wrong, if that, why then doesn't the history of this court's practice with respect to those cases tell us that the right answer is actually to return to the position of neutrality?
The right of a woman to choose, the right to control her own body, has been clearly set for since Casey and never challenged. You want us to reject that line of viability and adopt something different.
In response to the hearing, hundreds of activists from both sides of the argument picketed outside the Supreme Court. U.S. Capitol Police said they arrested nearly 36 people for illegally blocking street traffic in the area. If the court decides to uphold Mississippi's law, experts predict that more than 20 states will pass laws banning all or nearly all abortions. The High Court is not expected to make a decision until late June.
USC students marched through campus today to protest how LAPD and DPS handled a wellness check involving a doctoral student and her child.
Care not cops! Care not cops! Care not cops!
A couple dozen students held signs and walked down Truesdale Parkway, demanding justice for Kayla Love and her family. Last summer, Love said that police showed up to her apartment with guns drawn. The LAPD claims they were conducting a wellness check on her newborn. Love says she was then threatened with eviction and DPS showed up. Students say they want to see a change in how DPS responds to situations like this.
I think they need to crack down on their hiring policy. They need to have a stricter hiring policy when it comes to requirements for what a DPS officer should look like and what values they should have.
I feel like there needs to be student body representation, especially from Black people within those within that decision making of DPS hiring.
Love started a petition on change.org calling for reform on how officers conduct wellness checks. A nonprofit created to promote inclusivity in the live events industry is launching a campaign to bring underrepresented voices to the stage. The group Diversify the Stage is calling on industry leaders to, quote, take the pledge and hire more people from traditionally marginalized communities. AEG and Live Nation are just two of the touring companies that have already committed to the initiative. A USC student who interns with a record label says representation on stage matters.
I think a lot of it, is about seeing people that look like you in the room and not being the only person in the room that has to stand up for yourself or for your community. So to have somebody that's kind of a therapist and can kind of understand where you're coming from in your experiences, I think that having tour managers that reflect the artist is so important.
Diversify the Stage hopes other organizations in the music industry will sign the pledge and help promote and create a more inclusive environment.
USC professors and students are collaborating on short films to fight misinformation about COVID-19 vaccines.
The second dose can alter your DNA or make women infertile.
Okay, that's a myth. And if Thea was in here, I'd leave you here and drive off for speaking nonsense. Where did you see this?
The project brought together 14 different schools within USC, including Annenberg, the film school, and public health to create 2 films already. They focus on alleviating disparities in COVID vaccinations in the Black and Latinx communities. A USC professor of public health attributes the project's success to the authenticity of the community members who worked on the films.
The community-based participatory nature of the work that we do and the fusion of the academy with the community in general really makes a difference. We're really hoping that this is going to continue to increase the rates of vaccination, throughout these communities. And that in particular, we'll see an increase also in the rates for parents and especially for the younger kids as well.
A third film is on the way and focuses on multi-ethnic communities and encourages parents to vaccinate their children.
The Shabbat Jewish Student Center kicked off an early Hanukkah celebration at Tommy Trojan this afternoon as part of the annual Festival of Lights ceremony.
Around the table and let's have a treat. Dreidels to spin and lots.
Organizers put candles on tables near Tommy Trojan for students. The event also included Jewish music, food, and gave students a chance to learn about the culture.
It's so important for students to be able to be seen, to be able to celebrate their heritage, celebrate their traditions in a proud way and in a joyful way, bringing people together. We try to create a home away from home for our students here and offer an ability for people to come together and celebrate.
There will be 2 more events on Thursday and Friday at the USC Hillel Foundation on Hoover Street.
Coming up, our very last meta moment, a USC professor shows us the importance of breathing.
Park, and I'll show you one way LA is observing World AIDS Day.
And see how a Gen Z artist turned her passion for makeup into a career. We have more for you after the break.
It's World AIDS Day, and there are several events taking place in Los Angeles to raise awareness about the virus. At Lincoln Park, a monument has been built to remember those who we've lost to AIDS. Reporter Marilyn Parra is there live with more. Marilyn.
The ceremony is set to take place in 20 minutes. Mayor Eric Garcetti and other city and council leaders are expected to be here tonight. Right behind me, you can see the artwork of the Las Memorias wall. The wall was created in 2004, and over the years, 360 names have been added on the wall. The artwork is dedicated to depict what it's like to have AIDS in the Latino community. Tonight, more than 1,000 names will be added, along with new artwork. There will be a candlelight vigil, and there will be a musical performance by the Gay Men's Chorus of LA. Here with me right now is Andres. So Andres, I heard that this has been closed for 2 years. So what does it mean for it to be open tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been anticipating this opening of the monument for 2.5 years. We hit a road bump with COVID, but now we're happy to open the space to community folks. It's the first nationally publicly funded nation in the nation, and it's also a place for healing and for community folks to really remember those who've passed away from HIV, and also anchors the work that we do as HIV advocates.
I wish people can see how it looks. It looks really beautiful. And how many people are expected to be here tonight?
Yeah, we're expecting 600 folks from throughout Los Angeles County. We have representatives of the White House. We have state and assembly members as well, and community folks at large.
Wow, well, that is amazing. Thank you so much, Andres. Have a great night. The AIDS Healthcare Foundation is also hosting other things around LA, like the sold-out concert tonight at the Forum. For Annenberg Media, I'm Marilyn Parra. Back to you guys in the studio.
The holiday season is underway, and that means holiday parties. Entertainment reporter Anaja Smith is here with the story about how you can make your looks a little bit more festive.
It's time to start thinking about those party outfits. One TikToker is putting a spin on what it means to get holiday ready and shows you step by step in her tutorials. Izzy Nee shows her 130,000 followers how she uses her makeup skills to transform into different characters for each holiday. For Christmas, the Grinch, Frosty the Snowman, and candy canes are all inspirations.
I think Christmas is one of the best times of the year. I mean, Halloween is like my number one, but Christmas is really close behind it, okay? And there's just so much good energy, and it makes me want to put like holiday stuff on my face.
Izzy first discovered her love for makeup when she was 13. Since then, she used it as a way to express herself.
That's where my love for makeup stems from, and it's just been that way ever since, and it's just been growing and growing and growing over the years to the point where, you know, it just became my creative outlet, because whenever I would get sad or just feel like I needed to do something, makeup is what I would do.
Izzy says if you practice at it, you can get just as good as she is. Talking about glam, we need to know what the weather looks like for the following week. Ramya, over to you.
This semester is almost over, and we are at the home stretch for the winter break. Looking at today, the temperature peaked at 56 degrees with 90% humidity. It was a sunny day, which was really nice, but don't get too comfortable, as going into the rest of the week, the temperatures will dip down to the 60s. We see Thursday to Saturday, the weather will be partially cloudy, and the highs will be in the 60s and the lows will be in 48. However, don't worry, going into the new week, we see temperatures on Sunday and Monday will be in the 80s and the lows in the 50s. It will also be bright and sunny on Sunday. Well, talking about the weather warming up, Nicole, how are USC football athletes doing?
Well, Ramya, Lincoln Riley continues to have an immediate impact on USC football. He's already taking notes on current Trojans attending practice this week. Men's basketball returns to action at the Galen Center tonight as they open up Pac-12 play. Welcome back to ATVN Sports. I'm Nicole Shearin.
And I'm Carlo Jimenez.
3 days into the Lincoln Riley era, and 2 of his star recruits from Oklahoma were here on campus today. Malachi Nelson, the number 3 overall prospect for the 2023 class, according to ESPN, was in the building. He is already committed to USC. Also with Nelson on campus was Los Alamitos star wide receiver Makai Lemon. He decommitted from Oklahoma yesterday, but is yet to commit to USC. Lincoln Riley is getting to know his new program. The former Oklahoma coach was taking it all in from the sidelines at practice yesterday. Dante Williams will be the coach for USC's last game of the season against Cal. But this gives Riley a chance to plan for the future. Senior defensive lineman Nick Figueroa on the new hire.
There's a lot of positive optimism around our program, and I think we just want to keep that rolling into the next game and kind of use that to build momentum going into the next season. Whether it be in like recruiting or within our own team, I think there's a lot of potential here, and it's a match with start a fire.
So Mike Bones swiped right with Lincoln Riley, so let's do some swiping ourselves. First up, USC goes 9-3 this next season.
Yeah, Nicole, look, the future is bright with Lincoln Riley, but this isn't college basketball. Freshmen don't make that much of an impact. Just look at USC's top recruit, Corey Foreman. He only has 1.5 sacks this season. Also, with the majority of the team coming back, USC ranks in the bottom of the conference in points per game allowed, defensive red zone percentage, and tackles for losses, 3 big-time statistical categories that you need to excel at if you want to win football games. It's going to take some time before the Trojans get to that 9-win ranking.
Riley is exactly what the Trojans needed this season, so I'm swiping right on this one. It's rare that freshmen make an immediate impact, you're right. But with the new transfer portal, they can utilize those players with 2 to 3 years of experience. Take Taj Washington, for example. Transferred from Memphis. He was terrific for the Trojans this season. And with Riley's track record, he brought Oklahoma to 4 Big 12 titles and 3 college football playoff appearances. Plus, he secured a 5-star quarterback recruit, Malachi Nelson. So yes, USC, they've had a losing streak this season. But with Riley in their hands, it's looking pretty bright. Now, next up, we have will in 3 years, USC will make a college football playoff appearance.
Yeah, good things take time, and this is going to take some time for the Trojans to get all the way to a college football playoff bid. Look, no Pac-12 team has made the college football playoff in the last 5 years. What else? USC is having their 2nd losing season in the last 4 years, something that hasn't happened since the 1960s. This is going to take a lot of time for Lincoln Riley to build this program back up. I think he'll get there, but 3 years is a little quick.
Yeah, unless they expand to an 8 or 12 format with college playoff format, it's just not happening for the Trojans because you have 4 spots. If they want to have one of those 4 spots, they have to be the Pac-12 champion. That means they have to beat Oregon and Utah, who led the Pac-12 this season. Then you have Clemson and Alabama. They've appeared 6 out of the 7 times in the college football playoffs. And let's not forget Georgia, the #1 team in the nation right now. They're led by some pretty young talent. Brock Bowers from Napa Valley, he's doing terrific this season. Plus, they're led by Kirby Smart, who is also another recruiting king. So yes, Riley did it with Oklahoma. He brought them 3 times to the college football playoffs, but it's a pretty steep hill that I just don't see the Trojans climbing. All right, so our final one, Dart is the starting quarterback next season.
Yeah, Nicole, I'm going to have to go yes on this one as well. Jackson Dart is a dynamic, mobile quarterback that perfectly describes the other 2 great quarterbacks Riley has coached in Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. He is a perfect fit for this quarterback guru, and I think he's going to thrive under Riley.
See, here. It's our last show. I have to say it. Dart to start and swipe me right. Lincoln is the quarterback whisperer. Like you said, the 2 stars, Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, they're both Heisman Trophy winners. We can't forget Jalen Hurts. He was a Heisman finalist led by Riley himself. So Dart has this experience. He played this year. He has that under his belt. But it's really going to take that stage is set for Dart, and Riley's going to take him under his wing and really let him perform next season. So he has the confidence, he has the skill, he has the experience to carry this team under Riley, and I think that eye black is going to work wonders next season. Nathan, we want to hear what you think. We have our special guest, our executive producer himself. What are your thoughts on Dart to start?
Yeah, thanks guys. So first of all, thank you for having me, Nicole and Carlo. It's great to be on the show. My thoughts, I have to disagree with you guys. You see Caleb Williams, who was a quarterback at Oklahoma, played great. And Spencer Rattler, a former Oklahoma quarterback now who's in the transfer pool, he could easily go to USC and follow Lincoln Riley. And also Jackson Dart. Keaton Slovis is still the senior next year, and he could easily come back because he's competitive.
Yeah, Nathan, I have to agree. Dart has a ton of confidence and an ability, but I think this is a guy who we're going to see flourish. Again, he's only started 2 games this year for USC, so the Trojans should be excited with Dart under center. Thanks so much for tuning in to ATVN Sports all semester, and be sure to continue to follow us on Twitter. We will see you next time.
Coming up, an LA native uses song to cope with grief and remember loved ones lost due to the pandemic. Stay tuned. Complaining. To honor the people we lost during the pandemic, a local artist created a piece combining family memories, music, and spoken word. Annenberg reporter Deja Carisi shows us their work.
Around the world, millions lost their loved ones due to the pandemic. At the LAX Festival, Los Angeles native Dorian Woods created a sound remembrance piece entitled 2021.
When I came up with the idea of 2021, I knew that I wanted to create a quadraphonic sound space that welcomed people into an immersive experience.
Dedicating this piece to loved ones wasn't enough for Woods. She says the only way to really show her appreciation was to allow families to share their personal memories.
My dear friend and colleague Leslie Stern passed on from this life on January 28th, 2021. She was an amazingly talented and sensual writer and gardener, a superb friend and a lover of life.
And listening to these stories over and over as I was working on the piece was more emotionally impactful than I had anticipated initially. Intrigued by conversations I've had with others as to how we can deal with grief in our own way.
2021 is also a reflection of the daily routines we lost during the pandemic. Woods hopes her piece will continue the conversation of being comfortable with grief and adjusting to a new normal. For Annenberg Media, I'm Deja Charisse.
A breathing practice.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me.
So I hear you're here to teach us a little bit about breathing.
I'm so happy to come here and breathe with you. Thanks for having me. Breathing is about the bestest thing you can do in the world. You can do it anytime, anywhere you are. And modern science shows us that it has immediate effect on your nervous system, that it will help reduce stress, anxiety, depression. It will amplify your mood. It will make you feel great. Should we do it? Do you want to do it?
Yeah, let's breathe.
Let's breathe.
We're going to do something called coherent breath or resonant breath. It's basically taking 5 breaths a minute. So slowing the breath down significantly to about a 5 or 6 second inhale, 5 or 6 second exhale. That might be too long for you. If you haven't done this, you might need to do a 4 or 5 second one. Best to be with your rhythm and build up to something longer.
Sure.
Let's try it. You want to close your eyes? So sometimes that's nice. So close your eyes, exhale completely, and then inhale for a count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then blink the eyes open and take a regular breath.
Yeah.
Wow, even after that, feel pretty relaxed.
Yeah, I have to say I do take deep breaths whenever I am in stressful situations, but I just didn't know that it was built-in practice that actually happens. That was really cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much
for being here. This is our last Meta Moment segment of the semester, so we're so lucky to have you with us today.
Thanks for doing this great work. Keep breathing.
Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone here, including Frosty the Snowman, I'm Anisha Banerjee.
And I'm Luke Scorziell. For more coverage, watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Annenberg Media. This is our last show for the semester. Thank you so much for sticking with us. I hope you have a good night.